They want me to smile, so I'm smiling as much as I can do that. There are too many projects about which I would like to talk. I've done so many things during those past years, and they were poetry translations, and teaching, and linguistic projects, and writing articles for a newspaper, and many, many other things. So I will do slowly every time telling you the story of my life, which will be the memories, artistic activity, and which is a continuation. And I will always insist I'm a human being as anyone else, and I have the same right to live, to think, to write the way I think is right, even if I have been making mistakes. The author. The high school that I attended was like any other school in the ex-Soviet Union, full of patriotism, tending to some innovations that human brain can come up with, demanding and giving good education, not without a reservation though, as it appeared later among the socialist values of equality, there still was a great of the sense of great importance, the sense of possessing, the feeling of needing some property. The more one had, the more important his or her status was. The more chances the pupil had to be more successful, and the better grades he would get. Sorry, I'm making some mistakes, but I'm just reading, and I was not prepared to do that. I decided to do it all of a sudden. Even at the final exam in a language, when I had written a very good essay, my teacher didn't like it, as it was very publicistic and had found faults with the style she didn't like at all. My grade was high, but there was some specific aura of disbelief. They might have thought that I could not have written the essay myself, but it was, alas, me who had done that. Well, God be her judge. Though at that time nobody seemed to believe in God. All was about Lenin and Marx, and we could freely quote those classics of Marxist Leninism, and poor he was who could not. We were taught to think, to analyze, but only on having learned some very important for the world political material by heart. But the teachers might have been right. It was the epoch of development, of a developing, then a developed, and there were later an all-winning socialism. It's difficult now to recollect who was winning, who has won, and who hasn't. We had a very nice library at school. There were so many books there. At that time, we didn't have any computer. Those the most interesting, predominantly in Russian. Russia was the center of all the studies, all the researches, and all scientific schools. I liked the books in history, geography, traveling, languages. At that time, I had a very good chance to complete my own library, which to compile my own library, which later, after after I had already graduated from the college, which now is a university, counted over 2,000 volumes. The books were cheap at that time, some 50, 70 kopecs. So, having saved money on my school lunches, I bought books in local bookstores. Now, there were three at the time. Now there is only one. I hope there is. It was my rule that when we studied a new Ukrainian, Russian, or foreign author, I borrowed of both selected works by that author, read it from cover to cover, so that I could have a better picture about his or her career, the beliefs, the ideals. It was possible to read books in foreign languages as well. The only English language newspaper which I subscribed to was Moscow News. By the ninth grade, I could understand nearly everything. There also was a fair chance to read Polish magazines, which were so much different from the Soviet ones that it was just very interesting, even to have a look at the pictures. As anyone else, I both liked school and was afraid of it. There were some subjects I was really fond of. English, taught by a fell in love with the English language and the British culture teacher. Ukrainian, world, and Russian literatures taught by two nice teachers. One was a Jew and the other a real Russian. Chemistry taught by Latin students, always jolly teacher. History taught by a very revolutionary teacher, resolute and demanding. Geography, biology. I could endure even physics, but hated math. I hated it and didn't understand it. It was boring, unclear, not persuasive. You used to spend a lot of time just to get a final phrase, so intangible, deaf and dumb, meaning nothing to me. Well, I just disdained it, as our math teacher used to keep us, even during the intervals, so dedicated and fanatic he was. He was a great teacher, actually. We seemed to be lucky. We had nice teachers, not all of them, but many. Some of the teachers knew many things, had many books of their hands, but their classes were boring. It seemed that we, the pupils, had a lack of some very subtle feelings that our teacher had and developed. Well, we were still too young to be as sensitive as they were, perhaps. They also might have been too patriotic or too ideologically loaded for teenagers. We had many hobby groups. I used to have been dancing with a Polish girl for 8 years, and now, when listening to some pieces of German and Polish music, I recollect our dances. Our dances, different costumes, but very the very same melodies, or at least those melodies were very close to the German and Polish melodies. Only now I came to the understanding that not all my classmates were Ukrainians or Russians. Many of us had German or Polish names. I would not be surprised if there were some of us having ancient Greek or Latin names. As it occurred, some of my classmates were not good at Ukrainian because in their homes they spoke a different language, perhaps undercover, and it could be Polish or the Lamko language, the regional mini language, as they call them nowadays. There was also another hobby group, the one that was obligatory, the choir, which I didn't like at all, as they made you go there and we were punished if we cut it. I don't think I was a great singer. I can sing only solo, but as the fate was of a different opinion later, I used to sing at a university teacher's choir when working as a teacher and then as a lecturer or a senior teacher, what we called at that time. Even when the maestro was not very happy, as he said, it seemed to him that I was singing all the time, even if I had a part of a specific voice. So much I liked to sing that I could not stop helping other singers. was a collective singer, I think. I did my best. I was really happy to have such a nice teacher of English. So many teachers that helped us to learn and to memorize many things. At times we didn't appreciate that and could not do it being too young. Yes, we had our favorite teachers. The teachers seemed to have favorite students, but they never showed it. The principle of equality was obligatory and undefeatable. We all had some classmates who were also our friends and taught us many things the books didn't explain at all. Our classmates were much better anatomists than the manuals we used to have. They took their knowledge from people's sources, weddings, parties, dancing sessions. I finished the school rather successful, having completed the compulsory studies of one of the excellent Ukrainian polytechnical high schools, having earned two honorary diplomas in two different subjects, which disappeared later at the college. I studied, no explanations, no trace of them as well. It would be impolite and untrue to say that I had a bad school. On the contrary, I was a studying romantic who liked to walk along paths of local landscapes with books or dictionaries, believing that knowledge was more powerful than the evil of bad people. I remember the words of my grandpa saying that it will never be difficult to carry knowledge. I was thankful to my mother, to my relatives, and the acquaintances who used to have been helping me in my very green years, as green as the leaves of the willows by the lake. The country was developing socialistically. Thus, the school participated in many campaigns that marked the enthusiastic movement towards the happy future. Once we all were fighting the Colorado beetle brought to our territories by imperialists. Then we were collecting stones for a school greenhouse, though the heaps of the stones brought by us were later covered by the grass which grew up on them. And although the director was not too wise to have ordered the campaign, then for the money the students of the school earned and helping the farmers to gather the crop, the director bought an old rusty bus that didn't move at all, but had a very interesting peculiarity. Its floor was rotten, and when you stepped on it, your feet would fall into it, deep into the floor, which seemed to be very exciting and entertaining, as it seemed to be ridiculously taking your imagination into entertaining law. And it seemed to be ridiculously taking your imagination into another dimension of the people's existing and the way of thinking. We didn't care too much, as we knew we were living in the most progressive country in the world. That was what we were told. We tried to learn to analyze the facts and the events, having noticed the differences between the official reality and the factual one, and yet we didn't suffer from that possible brain damage, though it could be desirable to sue the authorities for that kind of cruelty, which we had to experience. We loved the people loved us as much as we loved them. We studied, we finished the school, and were ready to go ahead of time. Yes, we did finish the school. The problem is that in the United States of America, they, for unknown to me reason, they think that they graduate from a secondary or high school, though the graduation really is not the real thing. Just finishing had a lot of exams to take and to pass. I was thinking about 30 during all the years. Thank you for your attention today, and maybe I will continue.